Hello and welcome to another episode of MMOFTW here on MMORPG.com, the week that was in MMO news. I'm your host, Bill Murphy, and let's get right to it because there's a whole lot to talk about. First up is some Marvel Heroes news. If you are a fan of the game, you know that last year they changed their name to Marvel Heroes 2015, and this year they're changing it to Marvel Heroes 2016. Big shocker, right? Well, this week also marked the first wave of the 2016 initiative with a whole bunch of new content. That includes a playable Black Cat voiced by Jennifer Hale, just as she was in the 1990s Spider-Man animated series. Felicia Hardy crosses our path as the game's 55th playable character. There's now an Agent Venom team-up, brand new Steve achievements, visual updates to a lot of heroes including Captain America, Black Widow, and Jean Grey, a whole reworking of the Deadpool character. This is the beginning of the Secret Invasion storyline for Marvel Heroes as well. There are now leaderboards. The most dedicated players will be recognized as new leaderboards begin to continually be added. Tournaments and seasons will grow out of this eventually as well, just as you see in games like Path of Exile and Diablo 3. And more importantly, at least to me, you can finally play the game with your console controller on the PC, and it really, really feels good. So get in there and try that. And moving right along to Trove news, the Trove forum has a new post proactively warning players about some fairly significant changes coming to three certain areas: qubits, classes, and the patron system. The post begins with a discussion of why changes are needed in order to keep the game moving forward, and then details the changes that will be coming in the future. From the forum post: why make changes? At the end of the day, this is a big piece of the engine that helps keep Trove going. We've been live long enough and collected enough data that we can start making some changes. The core word which I expect us to be held here is that it's all about value. No matter what you are spending on the game, time or money, we need to give you value and respect that investment. That never changes. So players will initially earn fewer qubits, which will allow for more time to familiarize themselves with the game prior to being able to unlock fast mounts and wings. In addition, players can expect higher prices in the qubit store while simultaneously being able to buy more worthwhile repeatable things. Classes themselves are going to be overhauled to allow for deeper progression in powers, which we will probably have already learned about by the time you read this in one of the most recent live streams. The result is that fewer classes will be coming into the game at a slower pace to allow for better progression for the existing characters. Now that they have a nice base of classes, they kind of want to slow down on how quickly they add them. And lastly, you can check out the changes to the patron system and what it means to Trove as a free-to-play game all the way over at the Trove site. There really are a lot of changes, and they seem to be getting relatively well received by most of the community, but there's also some controversy there too. I'm not super well versed in Trove's free-to-play model, so I'll let you guys kind of hash it out in the comments below, but all the changes are at the Trove site or at MMORPG.com. And in HEX, the Shards of Fate, the MMORPG/trading card game, they finally are pulling themselves out of the beta tag as the very first PvE campaign, the Chronicles of Entrath, has launched this week. This is the first not baby step, it's a giant step towards making HEX the MMO trading card game that it was always meant to be. We have a brand new hands-on with the PvE where you create your own character, you go through a whole world campaign, you fight bosses, you can co-op with other players and everything like that in this card game, which is really pretty fantastic. Now, the game has been seeing a lot of playing lately. There's a lot of lag on the servers and stuff like that, and they're proactively working on it. But head over to MMORPG.com and give yourself a nice look at the preview that Neely Johnson wrote, because it really, really is a one-of-a-kind game. And if you haven't already played HEX and you're a fan of these trading card games, I think you should definitely give it a try. It is free, after all. And moving on to some good news for fans of Icarus Online out of Korea, which is actually one of the top MMORPGs in Korea. This week we finally learned that it is coming to the West via Nexon. They revealed the first information about Riders of Icarus, that's as it's being called here. It's going to be a free-to-play MMO which allows players to participate in some pretty hefty aerial combat. Built on CryEngine, it's a very pretty game. The closed beta is actually already underway, although there's an NDA, so we don't really know too much about it, and hopefully we'll see some more open betas, or at least get the NDA taken down so we know what the game's all about. But if you head on over to YouTube, I'm sure you can find some videos of the Korean beta and see for yourself. And in the Division news, not only are we currently playing in the game's beta period this weekend as we prepare for the late March launch, Ubisoft has laid out the details for the next year of content coming to the Division after it launches on PC, PlayStation 4, and Xbox One. There are 3 content expansions at least planned in the DLC Season Pass, the first one being Underground, a squad of 4 exploring a new territory in New York City's underworld. The second one will be Survival, where players take on increasingly difficult waves of enemies. That sounds like Horde mode, if you ask me. And then Last Stand, which there are no further details about that. Along this whole time, there will also be new story missions and new weapons and items and new free updates and content updates as well. But these are the major things that are coming for the paid expansion passes. As you know, just like Destiny, once you buy the game, you don't have to pay a subscription to play it. And we don't know if there's going to be any microtransactions or anything like that, but we'll have to see. I think it's a foregone conclusion that eventually the Division will add some sort of cosmetic shop or something like that. That just seems to be the way these things go. But free updates will also be deployed throughout the year, which will include new game modes, cooperative challenges, and a whole lot more. You can read the full blog post over on the Division Ubisoft page. And last but not least, a big congratulations is in order for the Blade and Soul team at NCSoft West. After launching just a little over a week ago now, Blade and Soul has already seen 1 million active players taking part in Blade and Soul since its launch, which kind of explains the massive queues we've seen on those first few days. The sheer enthusiasm, according to them, not to mention the volume of North American and European players that have jumped into Blade and Soul since launch has been tremendous, said John Burns, the Senior Vice President of Publishing at NCSoft West. Blade and Soul is one of the most exciting games for Western players in 2016. His words, not mine. I'm enjoying my time in Blade and Soul, as it were. The combat in this game is definitely in a class all of its own, and I'm working my way towards our final review, which I will have for you probably in about 2 more weeks, because I'm a slow leveler and I like to make sure that I see everything before I put a verdict out. So that'll do it for this week, folks. Don't forget to follow us on Twitter, Twitch, YouTube, Facebook, and all those good little social media networks at MMORPG.com without the dot. If you're into that sort of thing, you can follow me on Twitter at TheBillMurphy. Remember, don't let a bad pug get you down. Have a great weekend.
Make sure to level up your MMO knowledge by visiting MMORPG.com, subscribing to our YouTube channel, and by following us on social media. To catch up on the week's biggest MMO news, watch our latest MMOFTW. And to see if there's a better MMO out there for you, watch one of our latest First Impressions videos. Thanks for watching.